Michelle Obama, The Light We Carry. Overcoming in Uncertain Times. Are you feeling increasingly isolated in a society that's moving away from in-person connection? Are you feeling shaken by upheaval in your personal life or on the political stage? Are you feeling anxious about the way the world is headed and powerless to help? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you're not alone. Former First Lady Michelle Obama hears from people like you every day. People who have heard her talk about using her voice to call out systemic problems and learned how she leans on deep friendships when she feels overwhelmed. People who felt inspired by her famous response to the Republican presidential campaign's smear tactics in 2016. When they go low, we go high. But they also want to know, how? How do you use your voice to tackle the issues that matter to you most? How, in an increasingly divided society, do you form and nourish connections that can sustain you? How do you go high? Perhaps that's something you've been wondering about too. Obama doesn't exactly have the answers. She acknowledges that we're living in a world that can feel scary and out of control, that we negotiate every day with institutions that can seek to disenfranchise or silence us, that living with authenticity, boldness, and energy is hard, really hard. But she does have the firmly held belief that there's a light inside all of us, a light of hope, joy, and empathy. The brighter we let our light shine, the better we can see the potential for deeper connection, greater understanding, and a fairer world. Now Obama is ready to share the strategies she's used to kindle her light, and how she thinks you might be able to spark the light you carry too. Don't be afraid to let your light shine. Inside you is a light. It's a spark completely unique to you, your talents, your determination, your curiosity. What's stopping you from letting that light shine out fully? Is it fear? We all experience fear. The world is legitimately scary. Pandemics, shootings, and ecological crises are all part of our shared reality. On top of that, many media outlets seek to actively exploit your fear with news stories designed to keep you feeling anxious and afraid. How can you overcome that fear? Well, over the years, Michelle Obama has learned a secret about fear. In the White House, she rubbed shoulders with icons, people like Nelson Mandela and Maya Angelou, people who have overcome incredible challenges and spoken up in the most courageous ways imaginable. And here's the thing, though these people appear fearless, they're not. They all get scared. They all get nervous. Your fears aren't going away. If you want to let your light shine, you need to learn to live comfortably with them. Don't let fear stop you. Let it guide you. Here's an insight into how Obama has learned to live with fear. When she was 4, Obama was cast in her church Christmas play. She was thrilled. There was just one problem. On the day of the dress rehearsal, there was a creepy-looking animatronic turtle on the stage. It terrified her. She tearfully told her great-aunt Robbie, who was directing the play, that she wouldn't go on stage with the turtle. Robbie told Obama the turtle wasn't going anywhere. Obama could go on stage in her beautiful new dress and twirl for the audience. Or she could sit in the audience with her mother and miss her big star turn. See, acting to avoid fear makes us feel safe. But there are consequences. Weighing up those consequences, Obama decided she wanted to perform more than she wanted to avoid the scary turtle. So that's what she did. When fear dictates our decisions, we miss out on a lot. We choose conformity and sameness over challenges and surprises. keep making those choices, and we can grow threatened by anyone who looks or thinks differently to us. When you feel afraid, ask yourself, am I genuinely scared? Or am I just trying to avoid exploring a new possibility? Obama isn't afraid of turtles anymore. But those turtle moments certainly haven't gone away. In fact, sometimes they show up when she's feeling safest and happiest. In 2006, for example, Obama had a great relationship with her husband Barack and 2 young daughters she adored. She was fulfilled in her career and loved living in Chicago. Then Barack told her he was thinking about running for president. What's more, he'd only run if Michelle was okay with this decision. She had the final say. Faced with this decision, Obama's internal monologue went into overdrive. A presidential campaign would bring with it intense scrutiny of her family, stress, and upheaval. A successful campaign would mean a move to Washington and a completely new life. Saying no to Barack's proposition would be a relief. It would mean things would stay the same, safe and comfortable. In the years since 2006, Obama's gotten better and better acquainted with that internal monologue. She calls it her fearful mind. When it starts talking, she talks back to it. When it tells her she's not good enough, she asks it, why not? When it tells her she shouldn't tackle a problem, she asks it, who else will if not me? She tries to deal consciously with her fearful mind, breaking down all its negative assumptions. Back in 2006, Obama's fearful mind was in overdrive, but then she asked herself, what am I actually afraid of here? It all came down to one word: change. She had no idea how their lives would look after this change. But then she reminded herself how many times she and Barack had tried something new and thrived. From leaving their families, to changing careers, to becoming parents. Turning down a challenge just because it felt new and different just didn't sit right with her. You won't be surprised to learn that Obama said yes. Barack should run for president. 2 years later, the Obamas became the first Black family to ever live in the White House. So, next time you hear your own fearful mind, listen to it. Listen to all the ways it encourages you to avoid change, to stay in your comfort zone, to keep your world small. Then ask it, why don't we try doing something that makes our world bigger for once? Shine your light outward into friendships and community. Barack Obama's first inauguration in 2009 was a celebrity-studded event. Attendees and performers included 4 former presidents and 5 former vice presidents, as well as Oprah Winfrey, Steven Spielberg, Muhammad Ali, Beyoncé, and legendary civil rights activist Congressman John Lewis. But the people Obama was most excited to spot in the crowd might surprise you. She was excited to see Elizabeth, a friend who had flown in from New Haven to be there. Verna, who'd known Obama since they were both in law school together. And Kelly, who'd weathered all the storms of pregnancy and parenthood side by side with Obama. Michelle Obama credits her professional success and her personal happiness not just to her partner Barack or her family, but to the incredibly tight-knit network of friends she's cultivated and maintained over her lifetime. Whatever happens, whether there's a family tragedy or a dress code dilemma, Obama knows friendship, wisdom, and support are only ever a phone call away. She treasures and relies on her friends, just as they rely on her. Maybe you can relate. Maybe, though, hearing about Obama's strong, nourishing friendships makes you feel kind of jealous or even sad. If you feel like you're struggling to connect with others or cut adrift from your community, take some comfort in the fact that you're not alone. Increasingly, your experience is becoming the norm. In 2014, Barack Obama appointed Dr. Vivek Murthy to the role of Surgeon General. Murthy kicked things off by going on a nationwide tour of the United States talking to everyone he could about their health and well-being concerns. Chief among them, loneliness. It affects people from all walks of life, yet in a society that values self-reliance, there's a stigma to admitting you crave the friendship and company of others. In recent years, social media, where carefully curated picture-perfect updates seem designed to make you feel alone and inadequate, and the COVID-19 pandemic have exacerbated the loneliness epidemic. And yes, it is an epidemic. Loneliness has long-term implications for mental health. Research has shown that someone experiencing loneliness actually finds it harder to trust and connect with others, creating a vicious cycle of sorts where disconnection and isolation compound. But loneliness and isolation can be overcome. There's a reason Obama has such a strong connected network of friends. She works at friendship with the same focus and energy she works at her career and her family. Friendship is that important to her. And she doesn't find making new friends easy. Do you feel self-conscious or awkward asking someone if they'd like to hang out with you, maybe grab a coffee sometime? Obama sympathizes. She's always found it challenging to bridge the gap between being acquaintances and being friends. Even more so now that potential new friends have to deal with her high-profile lifestyle and intimidating security detail. Obama calls this potentially awkward moment the ignition point. Navigate that point successfully, and you open yourself up to new connections and relationships. If the ignition point feels too fraught for you, it might help to change the way you frame it. It's easy to focus on yourself in this moment. You're feeling vulnerable and afraid of rejection. Try focusing on the person you'd like to connect with instead. It's an act of kindness and curiosity to say, "I'd like to know you more." It's an affirmation to acknowledge that you see the light inside someone else. By reaching out, you're giving them a gift. There's nothing awkward or shameful about that. One light kindles another. When you see the light in someone else, you help it burn brighter. And the same thing happens when you let someone see the light in you. Don't let darkness dim your light. In 2016, Barack Obama was the outgoing president of the United States. Campaigning for office were the Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton and the Republican candidate Donald Trump. The campaign was hotly contested. Trump, in his bid for office, often appealed to people's fears and anxieties. He told voters that the nation was being swamped by illegal immigrants, that American cities were violent and dysfunctional, that the economy was on the brink of collapse, and that only he could fix the problem. At a rally in support of Clinton, Obama remembers wanting to remind voters that they could choose to vote out of hope, optimism, and principle, rather than out of fear and self-interest. She shared with the crowd an expression the Obama family often used around the dinner table, and one that would go on to become one of her most memorable phrases: "When they go low, we go high." It was a reminder to keep perspective, to ignore petty attacks, to commit to higher objectives. Going high, according to Obama, means drawing a line and asking yourself, which side do I want to be on here? The phrase resonated, but like so many simple mottos, while it's easy to remember and repeat, it can be a lot harder to put into practice. In the years since 2016, lots of people have questioned Obama about going high. In this time, there's been a pandemic. Russia has invaded Ukraine. In the US, elected officials sought to undermine the democratic process. Black people are disproportionately assaulted and even murdered by the police. Trans rights are still treated as though they are up for debate, as are the rights of gay people, people of color, women. The list goes on. After all these fresh outrages, and while we still carry all these old wounds, these people want to know, are we still supposed to go high? Obama's answer is simple. Yes. It might not feel like going high has really worked out, but going high is a process, and it won't always bring immediate results. Here's how Obama herself practices going high. She pauses before she reacts. Going high means following your best impulses. Building in a pause, even when you're provoked, gives you time to sort through your emotions. When you're insulted or threatened, it's okay to feel rage, hurt, and disappointment. It's human. It's healthy. But remember, emotions are not plans. Rage won't solve problems, and hurt won't right injustices. Pause to feel your feelings, and then work out, clearly and calmly, how you want to respond. Obama makes a distinction between responding and merely reacting. More and more of us, she feels, are content with reacting to issues. Hitting like or share on a social media post isn't the same as actually doing something. Being active online and being an activist are two very different things. Things that can make a difference? A vote makes a difference. Engaging with your community makes a difference. Donating your time and talents to causes you believe in makes a difference. Showing compassion and gratitude for those around you makes a difference. And with each of these actions, your light will burn brighter. Some people will have to fight harder to go high than others. As a Black woman, Obama knows this. Going high and shining her light means exposing herself to threats, insults, and bigotry. If you're in a similar position, here is Obama's advice to you. Keep the poison out and keep the power in. Stay focused on what you're doing and who you're doing it for. As First Lady, whenever the media scrutiny and stereotyping grew too much to bear, Obama would rearrange her schedule to visit a school. Spending time with kids always reminded her that we're all born free of hate and prejudice. Obama is going high for them. Who are you going high for? Even in overwhelmingly challenging global circumstances, each of us can be a force for connection and change. Focus on nourishing the spark inside you, kindling the light in others, and keep shining your light in spite of any darkness.